This is Dr. Nelson Simmons. One of the more common complaints I get involves sleep. Patients tell me all the time I can't get to sleep, or I go to sleep and then I wake up 2 to 3 hours later and I can't go back to sleep. Or another one is I sleep but I don't feel rested in the morning. So I wanted to go over a few tips on what we might do to help improve our sleep. The first is that you need to understand that your brain starts to get ready for sleep about 2 to 3 hours before you actually lay down. It produces some chemicals in your brain that combine with other chemicals in your body to help you get tired. To improve that, you need to have a routine. You need to have something that you do on a regular basis that tells your brain, hey, it's time to go to bed. This would be taking a shower at the same time every evening. It would be turning off the TV and reading a book. It means turning off the lights at a certain time. But getting into a routine helps. I have a lot of people who exercise in the evenings. That's fine as long as you can go to sleep afterwards. But if it jazzes you up, that's not a good idea. When you go on vacation, let's say Las Vegas, and there's lights on everywhere, there's noise everywhere, you don't get sleepy. That's because the casinos know, hey, if we don't tell them what time of day it is and we don't quiet it down, then ultimately people stay up longer. And it can be 2 or 3 in the morning and you're not even sleepy. That's because your brain hasn't produced the chemicals it needs in order to get tired. So the second tip I give people is cool down the room. You want to make it nice and chill. Somewhere about 68 degrees is a really good temperature. If your partner is, cold and you're hot, well, ask them to put on more clothes or get a thicker set of blankets or something to keep them comfortable. But if you feel hot, you won't be able to get a good night's sleep. So cool down the room. That way it helps your body temperature kind of settle in at a nice temperature for you to sleep. The third tip I give people is to avoid blue light. Blue light is any light that's made by a device that is backlit. So this would include flat screen televisions, your iPhone or your Android, your tablet, your computer, whatever it takes. A lot of people will sit there and they'll read their little screen while they're laying in bed and they wonder why they can't get to bed. Well, that's because the brain, when it gets triggered by blue light, in fact any light, but blue light most importantly, it tends to trigger hormones trigger chemicals that help you stay awake. So if you can, really think about getting rid of blue light. If you need to read a book. Go old school. Just read a book, but try to avoid the backlit devices. That will help. Another thing that I tell my patients is to avoid stimulants. You want to avoid things like caffeine, chocolate, colas, teas, coffee. Those things tend to make you more awake. So you want to avoid those. Some people exercise at night and that jazzes them up. So avoid that. Try to get nice and calm and that will help you get a better night's sleep. So if you're doing these tips and you're still having a hard time, a lot of my patients are asking for help, chemical help. So I often introduce them to a chemical called melatonin. Melatonin is the natural chemical that your brain produces to help you get a better night's sleep. It actually binds with other chemicals in your body that make you tired. Now the problem is a lot of people take it when they are getting ready for bed, when they lay down. And that particular chemical takes about 2 to 3 hours to actually start to work. That's the natural chemical your brain makes when you start to get into that sleep routine. So take it 2 to 3 hours before you're ready to go to bed. The other thing is most people take too much. They take 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams. You only need to have 1 milligram. Okay. Now that's the kind that goes under your tongue. If you're going to swallow the pill, you prefer that kind, then you need 3 milligrams. All right, but 1 milligram under the tongue or 3 milligrams by pill. Okay, they also make some drops, and I would go with the lower dose, 0.5 milligram or 1 milligram max. Do not take the 5 milligrams or the 10s. Those are designed to make you sleep, a lot longer. Most of us need about 7.5 to 8.5 hours of sleep maximum. Okay, so that's the medication, and most people take it wrong. Now, what about prescription medicines? A lot of my patients, they like prescription medicines because it gets them into a really deep sleep. They start working in about 30 minutes. The problem is most of them are addicting, or at a minimum they cause dependence and tolerance. So when you take them, you might get away with half a pill for a while, but then you need a full pill, then you need 1.5 pills, 2 pills. Before you know it, you're taking a ton of medication just to help you get to bed. Every once in a while, it's not that big of a deal. But if you take it on a regular basis, that's a problem. You want to get into a position where you can go to sleep on your own without having to take medications. I have a patient that travels to China. Whenever he's jet lagged, I let him take a little bit of sleep medicine to kind of get him back on cycle. But it's about 3 days max, and then he gets back into his regular routine. That would be an example of when medication could be handy. A lot of people are under stress and they can't stop their brain from just processing. You're going to have to figure out ways to decompress. You got to meditate. You got to find some time where you just chill and you let your brain rest. But if you can avoid medications, that's the best thing. Try the natural melatonin. And if all else fails, you can watch this video. I hope this has helped your sleeping tonight. I hope you get into a better rhythm. And if you have any questions, you can always call my office. Thank you and have a great day.